Hey guys, welcome back again. It's Rath here with another learning curve segment of video in our How to Win series, DFS College Football Tip number 12, I believe we're going to be knocking out today. And really and truly, this is going to be a good one. Really is where to find value in players. And the number one place that I've been able to find value while playing college fantasy football on the DFS side over the past 4 years is the running back position. It's great because you have a lot of teams right now that are running spread offenses, one running back, three wide receivers, and a lot of times that running back is not getting the ball as much. So it's kind of limiting the number of running backs that are kind of out there. So what I've found is some key trends that we're going to talk about. One of them is small school players, and if you notice that some of the preseason rankings, there's a lot of guys. The top running backs, a high majority of them do come from mid-majors or smaller schools. Mainly, those are the number one players on that team. They get the ball the most, and the teams just hammer this player, sometimes 25, 30, 35 times a game where they're getting the ball and they're relying on this particular player to help them win. So that's where you're finding running back value is in those small schools where the guys are getting a lot of touches and they're staying on the field quite a bit, again, because the depth charts are thin and they're running that guy out there pretty much most of the game. Now, the other time that you can find value at the running back position is find teams that are heavy running teams that have success of a running offense, i.e. like a Wisconsin, who's had significant success at the running back position with guys like Monte Ball, Melvin Gordon. Over the past 4 or 5 years, they've been able to be one of the top running backs in daily college fantasy football. And it's no different this year. We got Corey Clement, who did play some last year and did well. So Corey Clement inherits one of the most prized positions in college fantasy football in that running back position in Wisconsin. So, we've got incoming players inheriting great roles. We've got, whether it's freshmen, whether it's transfers, whether it's players who have already been there, inheriting those great roles in those potent offenses. We've got small school players who are the focal point of their offenses who are seeing an exorbitant amount of touches on the field. And then the third way that you're going to find value, and we saw this firsthand last year, is when a key stud player goes down, whether it's injury or suspension, and then the backup comes in, especially in an offense that's a major school, because the drop off between the number one, number two, and even number three running backs often is not that great. So we saw this happen firsthand last year when Todd Gurley for Georgia, who was the best college running back in football, pretty much went down with an injury. Nick Chubb came in, and you were able to capitalize. If you played Nick Chubb, like I recommend to you to do almost every single week, you definitely came in a cash window. Nick Chubb now is pretty much a top 5 running back, if not top 1 running back in daily college fantasy football this year coming in. So his price tag is going to be high. But if something were to happen to Nick Chubb, now you got somebody like Keith Marshall or somebody else behind him that would be probably minimum salary because they haven't accumulated many stats and they don't have any track record for the most part, slides into a premium role, and you're going to save huge money and be able to capitalize. So those are the 3 ways that you can find running back value, and that is the number one way that you're going to find value in building your lineup. Spend up at quarterback. Don't skimp at quarterback. Find at least one stud running back. You can find a value running back, and then also if you're playing on DraftKings, you got that flex position. You can find a value running back, and then you still got to roll your 3 wide receivers. We'll talk about wide receiver strategy in another video, but you definitely want to make sure it's actually going to be a lot different when we approach wide receivers, and we're going to talk about that in a future video. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. Come back again for another RAS Learning Curve video, How to Win DFS College Fantasy Football.